Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Soul Tribe Podcast, everyone. It has been a while. I believe the last episode was, I don't even remember. Let's not even go there. But we're really excited because we are doing our annual prediction episode. So these are predictions through the Akashic Records for 2025. This is something we do every year, and we've been focusing all of our energy onto our Patreon, our community. So we're posting there with Lucia every month, obviously together, and then we have our own individual channelings and information that we post monthly. And we have our community on Telegram, so if you're interested in joining that, I'll have a link for that below. You can also find that on our Instagram. We have it on our profile link. This episode, I was so excited to do this. I've been getting downloads and information for weeks and weeks and weeks. And we finally recorded it at the end of November. So we talk about quite a few things here. And obviously this is connected to our own Akashic Records, and we're getting general energies as well. And we talk about just general energies, collective and communities, solar energy, solar flares, 3D, 5D, that's a big thing, spiritual energies, healing, karmic cycles, extraterrestrial energy and connections to other dimensions. We talk about media and information, technology, AI, even inventions. We also go into Mother Nature, weather, natural disasters. That's something we talk about every year. World events in general, finance, economy. Aviation was something that I had channeled last year, and I reconnected to that just to see what would come up. And then also travel and kind of just boundaries and this global energy, right? So yeah, it's a bit of a long episode, and I'm really excited to share it with you. We've already posted this on our Patreon, so they got first listen to this, so you may find certain references of hearing things about the Patreon in the episode, and this is why I just want to make sure I explain that. And I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Please reach out to us, comment if there's anything that you've been receiving, you've been connecting with, or anything that you resonate with, or anything that you feel that we missed out, because we can do further channeling, of course. So just let us know, and I won't keep going on with my little intro. I'll let you guys just go right into the episode. Love you guys.
Hello. Okay it, because I always forget to okay it. Hi guys. I feel like going, oh, like with like
and then a little halo
popped into my head yesterday that like I hadn't thought about or heard in years. Do you remember Jersey Shore?
Every time I think of that show or it pops up in conversation, I think of you. Lucia's favorite show.
It was not my favorite show. It was just an easy fucking watch, and they're ridiculous. Also, they're like why society goes backwards. But anyways.
We are so excited for this.
No, I didn't finish saying what I was going to say.
Sorry, I'm just so excited.
So Pauly D on the show would go, yeah, buddy.
I remember that.
And this morning I woke up because I do trading. I don't know if you guys know that, but I do trading. I do like day trading. Literally, I'm doing it at the bank while I'm working. I'm like doing two jobs. I'm like tapping out and tapping in, and also working and answering the calls, whatever. And I woke up to like a really good trade win. And I woke up, I was like, oh, yeah, buddy. It popped into my head. And I was like, why did I just remember Pauly D after 20 million years? Something he said.
They're still around. I see them pop up. I think they had like a reunion. He's a
he's a DJ. Still DJing, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And then Mike, the situation, he went to jail for tax evasion.
Did he?
Yeah, he went to jail for tax evasion.
Oh no!
I shouldn't laugh. It's really mean.
It's horrible.
That's not nice. Yeah, I don't know why I laugh. I just think it's funny, like the.
It's because you don't think they're real people. They're like on TV, but it's like a reality show.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposedly their life. They probably exaggerate it, like all reality shows.
It's
you know.
so like produced. And all of those reality shows, none of them are real. Like anyway,
My biggest thing about those shows,
yeah.
not that it has to do with this episode, but my biggest thing about those shows is the way they like the way sex is used. Like, you know, I'm okay. You do whatever you want. You want to go sleep with 20 people, random people, you do that. It doesn't, as long as you don't affect me, whatever. But my thing is from a spiritual aspect, the amount of like energy that can mess up your energy. Like we've talked about in that podcast before, how sex, when you, let's say that you're in a really good energy, you're like, I'm going to manifest and I'm going to have a great year. I'm going to have a great life. And you're gaining all this energy and you're trying to get into like the best life, my best life, right? And then maybe like you have a good night and you get with somebody and you don't really know them and their energy and they're like maybe totally on the other side where they're having a rough
Yeah.
time. Maybe they're in victim mentality. Who knows? Now that person just took a bunch of your energy that you worked really hard to get to. And you carry that for a while, by the way. Their energy, you'll carry that for a while. That other person probably just gained a bunch of really good energy,
Yeah,
right?
it's very true. But that goes with not just that, it goes with just you letting people in.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's like an extreme energetic exchange, right?
Yeah, because it literally the two auras merge in that moment.
Yeah. But even
Right.
being
And
around
so
certain
you
people.
want to make sure that even if it's your lifetime partner,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they're going through a moment and you're merging with them, that's going to affect you. Like, so it doesn't have to be someone you don't know. It's just like we all have phases. Everyone, life is up and down. And so just be careful. Like, if you're trying to protect your energy at the time, you can support your partner and love them, but maybe wait off till merge that energy together till you guys are both in a good place. Thinking
Yeah, this
about both
goes with
parties.
friends, coworkers, bosses, like it's with
Yeah.
everything. Like be aware. And I think that goes into some of the energy I'm feeling for 2025 for sure. Anyway, I'm so excited about this episode. Like I've been talking about this episode for we've been talking about it on here that we're going to do it, obviously, and we're starting to do it first here now because we didn't have this platform before. And now that we have this, it's like exciting. So just because this is going to go out on the podcast, we're first releasing this on Patreon, on our Patreon in the community, and then we're posting this on the podcast. So obviously, if you're in the community, you get to hear this first.
Yeah.
And we may do, as we usually do, like a little bit further, deeper dive later on, just when we have, just like after the year starts. Sometimes it starts to download differently. Sometimes, at least for me. Once we're in the energy of the year, I think it changes things. But we have I kind of sat down because I've been getting downloads for a while now. I sat down and I'm like looking at my list, a whole list of, I'd say these are more topics, not questions. So we can obviously add the questions in ourselves and people can listen to the questions if we have it, but we're just downloading the energies for 2025. So this is for the whole year. It may go a little bit further as like we were channeling for 2024 and we were going into 2025. So it depends. I think it could go a little further than that, but we're going to focus mostly on 2025. And it is a year that we've been talking about, especially you, Lou, you have been talking about this for a long time. This year came
I
up
can't even
for you
remember when we started.
years back, like pre-pandemic.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like I've been talking about this year for a while. I can't even like remember when it started, to be honest. Yeah.
I'd have to go back and listen. I don't know.
I just can't believe we're finally here. I'm excited. Like it's the beginning.
Yeah.
It's at the beginning of the end of something and the beginning of the beginning of something, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And not in the sense of like a year starting. It's energetic. It's different.
No, energetic. Like remember that like I'm not for like the universe and for like the other dimensions, it's not about time, right? For them it's about cycles. So what the moment that one of those cycles was going to end and another begin aligned with our 2025. It's not because the universe said, hey, let's pick 2025. It's because it literally laps in with that cycle. And it's just, that's the number. That's when it falls into place. So for me, 2025, before we get into like more details, for me, 2025 is the beginning of the end and the beginning of the beginning. And 2026, that's when we get more into the energy of really beginning, if that makes sense. Like the good stuff really coming in, because we have to remember 2025, there's collapsing. So there's a chaos before an order. And we've been talking about that for a while because chaos doesn't take 1 month, right?
No, of course that's a process. It's a journey.
So right now, what we're 2025, from now on, we're speaking like we're in 2025, right?
Yeah.
We're now deep into it, as in it's the middle of the collapsing. Like, we're here. That's it. There's no more talking about what it is or how it's going to be in the end. We're already in the end. That's where we are right now.
Yeah. So we both opened our records. You've opened yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We did it pre getting on the call. And I will obviously put the list so you guys can see. And I don't know if I'll put the list in order, but I'll put the topics. But I think we should start with just 2025 general energies, which you just kind of went into right now. Do you want to go any deeper? And I can give my feedback, obviously, through the records and what I've been getting.
So my advice is, and I talked about this on my last Patreon episode, for those that are listening that are on Patreon right now, my last Patreon episode of my solo that I did, I talked about the ending of the contract of the opposing side of human evolution, I always call it, right? One of the things I said there was that we're beginning the collapsing of the contract, which means that they'll begin to lose their right. Before the universe let dark have its part in our world openly, they weren't going against any rules, sort of say, I guess you would say. They had a contract that said, hey, let's let humanity advance. And how do we do that? We give them dark and we give them light. And with that, they can walk both paths, and then they'll choose for themselves, because we got to give them free will, but they're going to learn from both. And that's how they're going to evolve. And so now it's considered that we need to raise our elevation, which means that the contract with that really dark side I'm going to call it dark side. The really dark side needs to end. What does that also mean? And this is what I was saying in the episode, that we begin a process, because we're just beginning. If the universe were to give us everything right away, we would probably mess it up. So we're beginning to have the right to manifest quicker. You know that I've been talking about manifest on the Patreon like almost every month. I talk about it. Lately, I've been talking about it all the time. And so it's because of that, because we're going into I'm feeling it. We're going into the energy of, we're beginning to have the right to manifest quicker. Why is it that they don't give us the right to manifest like this? Because you know those moments where you think, you just imagine yourself getting run over by a bus, or you imagine your dog getting run over. You're like, oh my God, no, oh my God, why am I thinking about that? Because we still have that, our brain is separated into two hemispheres still. By the way, part of 5 dimension is your brain's merging the hemispheres. It actually physically is going to happen. So for you to go into 5D, your brain structure even has to change. So everything is out. That's why we're exhausted all the time. Our bodies are slowly adapting and changing. It's a very slow process. So the idea is that because the brain still can't stay aligned with like positiveness, it's dangerous to give us the ability to manifest on the spot, because you might think about yourself or imagine your dog getting run over, and boom, 5 minutes later your dog gets run over because you just manifested that, right? So it's a protective mechanism. It's not the universe working against us. With that said, we're going to start manifesting quicker. So this year, 2025, begin to make sure to catch yourself with thoughts. You're going to have moments where you go into victim role and you think negatively. You imagine your dog getting run over. I'm using that example, obviously. You imagine those
awful. Don't use that example.
I mean, it's like, for example, for me, it's my kid. I had a baby and I imagine her choking all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my God, no.
Oh my God.
You imagine just like worst case scenario when you become a mom, especially a new time mom. You imagine all the worst scenarios that could happen to your kid. But it's just fear, like part of being human. So for some people, they don't have kids. It might be their dog. For some people, it might not be their dog. It might be their mom or their elderly parents. I don't know. So we need to begin this year where, remember, Drew, I had an episode where I talked about how when negative thoughts came into my brain, I would imagine them blowing them up. I still do that. I still do that, guys. It works. It's like I light it on fire. It's like I blow it up. Like I throw a bomb at it, and it goes away. Because if I don't do that, I feel like that thought keeps popping back into my brain. And so that's how I've evaded.
It's funny you say that. I've been feeling that a lot lately. That's been happening to me a lot.
Like those thoughts coming in?
Yes. Like where I can't shut my brain off.
Dude, throw fire at it.
Yeah, I'm going to try that.
I swear to God, I don't know why it worked. I don't know why. Like, remember Kevin Bacon? My Kevin Bacon dream?
Oh my God, I love that. Sometimes and Jamie Foxx. There's a whole Jamie Foxx one too.
No, but I think I never talked about my Jamie Foxx dream on the...
I think you mentioned it in the Patreon.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, my Kevin Bacon story, I'll get emails still like, dude, I listened to your Kevin Bacon story. Like people still hear and remember it. But I remember it. And sometimes when I remember it, like I'll blow it up too. Like it's just the easiest way to get rid of it. And for me, it works because I feel like now they come into my brain less. Like
Yeah,
it pops
because
in way less. You just try it
yeah,
out.
that makes sense. It's like anything. The more you work on
You're not
reprogramming
with it. You're
something,
not entertaining it. That's the
you're not
word.
entertain. Yeah, you're not allowing it in.
Yeah. So be really careful with your thought process. Try to improve. And I've talked to the people like all the readings I do and stuff. Like I'll tell people reprogramming. I'm all about reprogramming. I'm so
Mm.
obsessed with reprogramming, and every single night I listen to reprogramming to the point where I thought I want to start controlling. Like I follow some really good people on YouTube that do really good reprogramming, but I thought, you know what? I want to learn how to do it myself because I already work with audio, right? I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own. I'm going to put it on YouTube. If anyone listens to it, they can, but that's going to be mine.
Mm.
So I was gonna sit down with my Akashic records and do a bunch of really positive affirmations, different subjects, and then I was gonna make that. But whichever way you want to reprogram, like it doesn't have to be while you're sleeping. It could be while you're meditating. But reprogramming 2025 is really important because that's gonna help us manifest good things in that quicker time that we begin to do quicker. So every year we go into this energy, it gets quicker for us, which is great.
Yeah. Is that it? I don't
Yeah,
want to
that was my
interrupt you.
general like energy. Like that's what I wanted before we got into everything.
Okay. I do agree with the manifesting energy, and I do feel that like really weird, almost. It's like almost like collective energy with the manifesting. That almost like we have to come in and manifest things in group, in collectives, which to me means like there's like an intention to the group. The group comes together for a reason, right? And it could be to help others, or it could be to do something. It could be a creative process. It could be something, but to also have that in mind. They were saying to me, what was that?
What was that? I heard something, but I don't know what I heard because I hear the chickens are outside my
I
window.
don't know. I think it was my phone. That's really weird. That was.
Oh my God, I want to know what it was. No, wait. Can we go back in the recording after and see what it said?
I don't think you'd hear it because I have like the isolation thing. Anyway, let me keep going because I don't want to lose it. Um, yes, at an individual level, it feels super, super important. But they want to highlight that this is also something we need to really consider and into like take seriously in the collective sense, which for us could be the podcast, right? For us could be the Patreon. For others, it might be in the workspace. It might be with their group of friends or the people that they hang out with, or organizations or communities that they're in, or their neighborhood even, right? And I talk a lot about that, and the collective energy and connection. Well, I'm going to connect with that in a second. It feels like it's important that we do that in a collective sense. And I don't know why. Like, I'm not understanding
Wait,
it.
manifesting, is that what you're saying?
Yes, that we come
sense?
together and have an intention to manifest and can visualize it and can speak that and can bring it forward. Part of what you were saying with the thoughts I thought was really interesting, because I do feel that a lot of us might have to really work even harder than normal with our thoughts and our ego. For whatever reason, the energies right now to me feel like it might feel harder, more than normal. And it's not something that we've been carrying necessarily, but almost like the energy is making it harder. So we have to keep pushing. And speaking things, they kept saying to me, like, speak it. The same way you would speak it in your mind, you can speak it out loud. Like, I'm doing this, or this is what's going to happen, or this is what I want, or this is what I desire. Like speaking it, not to tell everybody your plans, but speak it even to yourself out loud. Connect with it vibrationally through your voice and your energy. That all feels really, really interesting. And I think we are almost like supported, but I keep feeling like this, like there could be difficulty for some of us, a lot of us, I think, in struggling with, like you're saying, the reprogramming. Because it's something we have been doing for a while now. And if we haven't been.
How long have I been doing like sleep? I've been sleeping with reprogramming for 2 years now.
Part of it is that, but what I feel is almost like setting that into action once you wake up.
Yeah, of course.
It has to be both parts. And almost like there's going to be this energy present, not necessarily attacking us, but almost like this energy present because of all of this stuff that's, like you said, everything's crumbling. We're connected to the collective and all these energies that are crumbling, the truths that are coming out, and everything that we're facing and seeing that will feel almost like that might almost like seep into our reality or into our mind. We just have to push past it. That's all I'm saying. It's not like it's going to hold us back or anything, but we have to be more aware of that energy and that it's not really about us. It's about what's happening outside of us, and we could feel affected by it. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that there might be a little bit more of us being more aware of what we're feeling in our bodies, connecting more to our bodies, connecting more to our thoughts, and speaking things in the manifesting sense. It does feel like a year to me that a lot of things can happen, like good things,
Oh my God,
positive
yes.
things. And I kept saying to people, like,
For me,
it'd be an
some people,
interesting
not
year.
everybody.
I think
For me, it's going to be a flip. For a lot of people, it's going to be a flip, like where they'll look back and go, "Holy moly!
yeah,
I finally feel like I accomplished something." Like it's.
I agree with that energy.
There's a lot of people that'll be able to, if you're in the right mindset, if you keep yourself, like everything we've just been talking about. I feel like almost everyone that maintains that can flip the scenario, because there's
Yeah.
no longer the power. And I've talked about the contract. There's no longer the power of the system. The system before had, you want to accept it or not, we were born into an enslavement system.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, right? We learn to survive. Some of us are able to semi break out of it. Some people will get away from it via living on the edge of it, via off grid or whatever you want to call it, right? But we were all born into the enslavement system. That's just the way it is. The good news is the end of the contract means that the enslavement system actually doesn't have the ability to govern us anymore. Is losing that ability or the power, or the universe won't allow it to do it anymore. But some people will choose to still be governed, and some people will still choose 2025 on, right? Some people will still choose to be enslaved by the system because that's what their soul wants to experience, and because they haven't consciously waken up to something more than they probably don't desire it, or maybe the same system serves them in some sort of a way, right? But those that want to move past the enslavement system, and I'll raise my hand because I'm all up for that.
Mhm.
Those that want to, this is the year where we begin to find a way, and we flip it. We begin to find a way. We have to also respect that we'll have family members, we'll have loved ones, we might even have children, we might even have parents that want to stay or will not be ready to leave the enslavement system. And that also means that we should respect that their free will decides that, and be happy for ourselves, at least, that we're living what we honor and what we consider is like valuing our life, like, using your life to do something that makes you feel good, and that feels like I have a purpose and I have a meaning. And tomorrow when I wake up, I'm like, yeah, man, I woke up and I love what I'm about to do for the rest of the day, and not hate what we have to do for the rest of the day, which I've been talking about. We've talked about that for years, right?
Yeah. The interesting part of that energy is, yes, it will be open for us to flip things, to change things, to go down this route that feels really aligned for us individually and collectively. But that doesn't necessarily feel easy when I connect to it vibrationally. It means that there's layers to that we need to really push past.
Family karma, lineage, family belief systems, societal belief systems, our own fears and limitations, not feeling like we're worthy of it, not feeling like we're capable of it. I mean, the list could go on, right?
Yes, but what I'm connecting with feels almost like, it's almost like a reconnection to ourselves.
Yeah.
That feels really important. That's like one part of it. And what that means is your own individual set of beliefs, obviously, and whatever you're individually going through. But also, a lot of the 2025 energy feels very much like action. Yes, it's internal, but a lot is physically. What am I actually doing? Questioning our actions, questioning everything outward as well, right? And with that comes a whole slew of things, right? But the connection feels really important. So what I wrote here was the connection to ourselves, the connection of something collective too, right? To the collective, to what we're associating with. I think that can push us in one direction or the other as well. But where I see the change happening is when we flip our actions. So if I'm, for example, like the example is the job, I'm in a job that makes me miserable, but I'm not doing anything about it. Yes, you want to manifest it in the sense of, I need to get a clear picture of what I want or what I desire or what I vibrationally want to connect with. And then what am I doing about it?
Yeah.
And that I think, as long as we can connect to it in an individual level, but also collective, let me surround myself with people that are already doing it. Or if you don't have that, it's how do I start looking to somebody like an expander, right? Somebody that is doing it, that has done it, that can show me the way, or that can inspire me.
Or
But
just
I don't know,
begin to
for
build something
some,
like a hobby, so you're taking
yeah,
steps.
that could be the action, right? That could be the
Yeah.
action. But this is not a year to sit and wait. It's not a year to just sit back. It's a year to take action. And that means taking opportunities, saying yes to things, and obviously doing it in a really aligned way. Um, while like the connection to self and the connection to the collective will make life easier. That's the message that I kept getting when you were talking. It kept feeling like this message of like people will help you. Like you're going to find people to push you forward. It's a collective thing, right? So it might
Yeah.
be because you met somebody and they gave you information, or somebody wants to help you, or I don't know. It feels very much like it's all about almost like it consciously and unconsciously coming together and almost like all pushing ourselves in this vibrational alignment.
Mhm.
Just to close off my general energies for 2025, what I kept also feeling like these last, I want to say months, is this energy of a lot. I don't know if I can put it into words really. I'll do my best. I think in past years I've talked a lot about like, yeah, this is a year to take action, to not hold back. But 2025 feels more than that. It's this energy of we've all been doing our work, right? Like that's the reality. Anybody here in this community and people that listen to this podcast, it doesn't mean that you have to be healed. It means that you've been on a path of understanding yourself, creating awareness around certain patterns, of asking for help or getting help or doing things or finding your own spiritual path. And it feels like this year really is about something almost like coming to the surface, almost like this volcanic energy that I keep feeling. They're showing it to me as like almost like a pot that's boiling and the top comes off, and it's like, well, things, all that, the stuff that you've been working towards, like you said it in different words, it's happening. 2025 is a year of happenings, of action, of
Which makes sense because in 2024 we talked about how like you want to be in a good place when you got 25. I remember them repeating that a
yeah,
lot.
they
Like
said that a
if you
lot.
want to change jobs, change in 24. If you want it, like it was all about that the 24 was the year of change because 25 was the year of like things. It was going to be a difficult year because a lot of stuff comes to light. At the
Yep.
same time, like the system's going to start collapsing, and you wanted to be in a good place when all that happened, so you could create your good reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's
Yeah.
interesting because if those that did do the work in 24, I think you're going to, what's it, harvest, begin to have some of that harvest, so to
Yeah,
say.
100%. And it doesn't mean you don't continue to do your work and your healing. That will
No,
always
of course,
be the
it never
reality.
ends. It never
And
ends.
I do see this really wonderful energy for 2025 of like you're saying, same way you can manifest quicker.
Mhm.
2025 will be an interesting year to clear things out quickly because our focus is so centered and aligned, and collectively we're in that energy, a lot of us, that ancestral healing for 2025 will be really like mind blowing, of the things we're going to discover, probably that we're going to see, and we're going to move and heal within our own family systems, but as a collective, which means truths need to come out. Things need to come to the surface. And this is that volcanic energy. And sometimes that's not going to always feel comfortable. That's not always going to feel good. That's not always going to be ideal, right? And so you're like, oh my gosh, this information that's coming in, like this feels heavy. I don't like it. But it's to our advantage, right? Because it's clearing things out. But it could be a year where things feel at moments maybe a bit unstable, like things are a little bit all over the place, where it's almost like you're looking at 10 things happening at the same time, but it's all clearing out. So that might be part of the energy we feel in 2025. And the only way we can really go through that in a really sane way really feels like being centered, taking care of ourselves.
I think like if you've gotten to a point in 24 where you're like, dude, I deserve better than this, whether it's um where you live, a relationship, family, I want better for my job or money, like whatever it is that you finally like in 24, you're like, dude, I realize my value. I deserve so much more. Like if you really genuinely got to a point where you feel and think that about yourself, 25 is a year where you can begin to evolve that into like I guess you said action, but it's like it starts emerging in your life. Like, oh, the universe is going to be more like 25. Your universe will be more like she finally realized her worth. Okay, let's give her what she really knows she's worth.
Mm. I love
So
that.
I think I think that I would put that under the same category as manifesting in a way, right? But those are the energies for me of 25. With that aside, remember we're in a collapsing system. So you got to make sure to keep your reality, your world, your internal world, your immediate environment on a high vibration, because we're going to see things that we're like, what the? Seriously?
This has been
Like
right here the whole time.
the
Or
collapsing system, whether it's like, the stuff that we already know is going on now, whether it's new stuff coming in, whatever, but we're going to hear things, we're going to see things. And this is the year where you're like, oh, just go, this is that collapsing system. This is the contract beginning to end. Okay, I see what's going on here. I recognize it. Great. Let me go back to my great reality. And let me continue to create from a great place. So I'm not saying don't stay informed. What I'm saying is just make sure that you're staying in your vibration so you can use the energies of the year to create that amazing reality that you want, whatever that is.
you know what they were just showing me? That from obviously we know what happened in 2020, 2021 up to 2022, right? All the pandemic and stuff. That almost like prepared us to be able to endure what's coming the next couple of years.
Great.
Do you know what I mean? But endure in the sense of truths.
Okay, yeah.
Of information.
To realize
I think for me, 2025 onward is a lot about information. And this is why I love that we're in the records, because
I think it's great.
It's all about information.
Like, the system actually doesn't care about me. You guys know what systems I'm talking about, like in general. The system doesn't actually care about me. It's to suit itself and to keep certain individuals, people's corporations or whatever in control. And so it's that those marked years that you just talked about, for me, it was us realizing, oh, maybe that system doesn't actually care about me and is not here for my greatest benefit. But for me, the most pivotal important thing is 5D. And I talked about this in my last solo episode, is 5D is self-governing. You don't need someone to govern you. You're, as a soul, are here to learn to govern yourself in this denser reality. And so the only way that you can say, I'm going to 5D or I'm finally here, is no one tells you what to do or how you do it. You know what's best for you and how to do it. And so that means that we need to obviously respect what we feel intuitively and go towards whatever path we want. But then we got to also let people choose the one that they want, right? Everybody, or you go over there. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to criticize you, but don't criticize me.
That is huge energy for 2025 acceptance, like you said.
Yeah.
Acceptance of ourselves, right? Because that goes into our own self-worth. But acceptance also goes into all the ancestral healing. I accept that there could have been some really crazy and effed up things in my family and in my ancestral line, and that some really crazy things happened, and I don't agree with it, but I accept it and I move forward so I can make things better. But also acceptance of others and their opinions and their things. It's how do we all become as a collective, be it because it's in a country, it's in a continent, or it's because we're in a small group or a neighborhood. How do we all become more tolerant and accepting of each other? That goes both ways, right? That I can accept you, but I can also not push my ideas on somebody else.
Yeah.
Those two things have to be in place. And it's interesting for 2025 because I think if we don't get in that energy, it will bubble up more of that chaos. Because that's a huge lesson that we have right now. And I think a lot of this energy of opposing sides, even like you're saying, all this darker energy, lighter energy, higher, lower vibration, is a reality, and it's manifesting outwardly in that sense of you're on that side, and that's it. We can't play into that game anymore. That needs to stop. Because part of what I was saying is we have to connect to love. We have to connect to this unconditional love of our soul and the universe.
Yeah.
That's the only way that we can find peace and move forward and ascend. So that's another thing. I'm glad you said that, because that's something I've been feeling too. Yeah. What do you want to start with? We have a huge list here.
Let me look at the list. Wait.
You're like, oh no.
We didn't even start.
No, we haven't really started. I'd start even with like Well, we already kind of talked about collectives and communities. Let's just go to that and like get that out of the way. What are you getting? Because I've already kind of
When
given
you say
my
collectives and community, I was trying to open that the email you sent me.
collectives and communities. I can look at it. Don't worry, you don't have to look at
I
it.
have it here. What do I have for collective and communities?
Hmm.
I'm not really getting anything about that because for me, this is a really important year for you to create your own reality. So for me, it's very internal. I don't really connect with that. I think that you're connecting with it more than I am.
Hmm.
For me, it's a lot of like consistently check yourself and your mindset and what you're creating. Because I believe, um, if you're able to continue to keep whatever thought process or belief systems that serve you going, I think that you'll attract people this year, especially 25, you'll attract people that can really vibrate with that and help you build up from there. So maybe the collective comes in after you are in alignment, and then that collective that aligns with that comes to help support you, and we all uplift each other. Yes, but for me, 25 is really important, like inside your head, the mindset, the person, and what I think I'm worth. I get that a lot with the Akashic Records for 25.
Yeah, this year
What do
feels
you your
important.
self-worth? Not like what are you worth to the universe? No, what is your self-worth? What do you think about yourself? What do you think you deserve? You think you deserve
Accepting
$10
parts
an
of
hour?
ourselves.
Here's $10 an hour at work. You think you deserve a basic partner? Here's a basic partner. Oh, you think you deserve an unconditional love? Oh, okay. Then here you go. Oh, you think you deserve $100 an hour? Oh, okay. All right. Here you go. So I think this is the year where the universe really is listening to you and your mindset. That's why for me it's very, very like internal. But then those
Individual.
players that need to come into play will come into play that align with that, as long as you keep that mindset, right?
Yeah, it's very different from the energies we've gotten in the last couple of years where we kept seeing like you have to find your community, we have to connect to collectives. Remember that was a huge message for years now.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that as much. What I'm getting when I talk
Yeah.
about collectives and communities is around healing. Is
Okay.
around almost like healing as a collective, healing as a community. Because a lot of this opposing energy I was feeling feels very much like the only way, it's the same way when I say to people, how do we know when we've healed? It's because somebody's showing us that mirror. They're not triggering us anymore, right? And when I say some people are like, well, I'm not ready to do this, I'm not ready. You are ready because you need that other side to show you what's going on internally. We can't sometimes find that. Like, for example, with in a relationship, right? Be it that we're in one or we're looking for a partner, the other person's always a mirror to that. I mean, the times and readings that someone's asking about a partner and they show them everything that they need to see to heal within themselves is always the case. The moment the person stops triggering you and you can make a decision like, this isn't working anymore, or I don't need to see that trigger anymore. It's almost like you can heal that, right? You've already healed it. What I'm seeing more in the sense, obviously that'll continue to happen. That's part of the soul contracts and all that. But what I'm getting more here is that we come together more this year and that collectives and communities can help us heal. So as groups, it could be online, it could be in person, it doesn't matter, which also means that as we heal, we can attract also people by our side that feel more vibrationally attuned to us, that it almost becomes easier to connect with people at moments.
Yeah.
Across the world, online, in person, whatever that is. And that might mean in the sense of a romantic relationship, or that might also mean friendships and work, right? Because as you're manifesting things, that means when you're manifesting that job you want, you don't want it to be around people that you're not going to get along with. It needs to be vibrational in every sense, from the people you're sitting next to or working with, to the clients that you're talking to on the phone, to the things that you're doing, all of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not seeing it in the sense that we have to create these communities this year because that's already done. We've done that. That already exists. It's what do we connect with now, and what helps us advance.
We talked about like the mindset and how that's going to help you bring in the reality. I have a really funny example of that because it's not just mindset; it's what you concentrate on, right?
What you
So
focus
it's like
on.
I have a really funny example of that. On the Patreon, you guys know that I usually on my lunch break I spend it at the library. How synchronized is that? I'm an Akashic Records reader. I always go into the Akashic library, and then on my lunch break at work, I go to the actual physical 3D library. Every single lunchtime I'm there.
It's great.
Like I sign in, I'm in there. Like yeah. So anyway, sometimes I'll check out books and like I'll read them, or sometimes I'll just bring my ebook and I'll read or whatever. But every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, let me grab and see if there's anything interesting, because I already know all the books there, basically. And I was like, oh, let me see if there's anything I've missed. And I went to like, I like true stories. I like learning from people's like stories and stuff. And so I was going through, and then I found a book. I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. And it's about a lady who writes about like her experience. She goes to Greenland a lot. And she writes about like Greenland and the history and how, the people that have to do with the history, but also the culture, the Eskimos, like the whole thing. She talks about she gives stories of locals and things like that. And I just so outside of my world, that's why I enjoy it. But also it's like it's her adventure, it's her experience. And I feel like you can learn from that as well. But so I was talking to Lorraine about it. I think it was last week, and I'm like, Lorena, Greenland this and Greenland that.
I didn't search anything, by the way.
Huh?
I didn't search anything about it. I just said,
I know.
wow, interesting, the book you're reading.
And right? And so we were here at the house, and I was talking to you about it. And then Lorena messages me like today, which is like a week later, like exactly a week after I talked to her about that. We've never talked about Greenland together. I've never gotten news. She's never gotten news about Greenland. Like it's not been in our reality ever, right? And then Lorena's like, oh my God, Greenland just got an international airport and there's people clapping. And I just got the news. My phone told me. Like, that's a silly example of how whatever you bring into your conscious reality can then begin to be like, here, oh, she seems to be resonating with the energy of learning about Greenland. Oh, by the way, did you know that right now Greenland has a new international airport to for more tourists and visitors to come? If I wasn't talking to Lorena about it, the probability of her or me getting those news was minimal.
Or paying attention to it.
Or even paying like it just it's like when they say like you want a red car. We talked about red cars before. Like you want to drive, you're like, oh, I really want this one red car, and then you start seeing red cars everywhere.
Or that car everywhere.
Yeah. So this year you can see how much quicker it works now.
Mm-hmm.
Because within a week you were already getting news about a place that I had talked to you about. So it's like that's just an example of the energy of 25 and how that begins for us.
Totally, 100%. It's
So if like I went to somebody on the Patreon and was like, I have a friend who out of nowhere got a raise from work, and I start telling the story and da-da-da, and then like also your conscious mind goes, oh, that can happen that's right, it can randomly happen to anybody. And then like a week later, your boss goes, hey, by the way, we've noticed you've done a great job. How about this position, and we'll give you a little bit more, right? Like things like that can happen in 25.
Speak it, like I said, you need to.
You called expanders. That's another way of saying it.
Expanders are a whole thing, yeah. And if anybody's like ever looked at Lacey Phillips' work, she talks a lot about expanders. It's a huge thing, and it's true. And when you do like a vision board, you would connect to people that are already living that energy or in that energy or doing that thing. And really not from an envious energy. I think it's more from like, it's possible.
I admire you and it's possible.
I admire, and yeah, you could feel a bit like jealous, but I think that's a low vibrational energy, really.
Well, I don't think, jealousy is really low vibrational, but I don't think most people that have a vision board manifest get jealous. Those are not that's not energy I get off of those people.
No.
But it's like, oh my God, if someone else is able to do it, then I can do it too.
Yeah. But speaking it is, when I say speak it, it's ask for it, go for it, mention it.
And I said this in the beginning, right in the beginning episode, be careful, because if you start hearing stories and concentrating on there's job cuts, there's going to be economic crisis, blah, 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 and you're like, oh my God, the unemployment rate. And if you're concentrating on those news, then the universe is like, oh, this is the reality she's choosing. Because remember, we're manifesting a bit quicker. So now you can get that reality to come into your life a bit quicker as well.
And that goes into collectives and communities. Be careful.
I think I'm going to repeat this a lot in 25. Be careful what you concentrate on. Yeah.
But be careful what you concentrate on, what your mind goes, but also what you're feeling.
Yes. What you're feeling.
If there are emotions bottled up, it's a moment to start to look at them, because that will almost become like your reality. And I do think this is just, I'm saying this is going to happen, but that I think if we aren't in that vibration of like almost like you said, like exploding those thoughts and being careful, 2025 might be a year where we see a lot of people with more anxiety and more like almost like mental health issues, more so than probably this year, because it feels like I'm saying the collective energy is strong. There's a lot coming down and coming out that we need to make sure we're careful.
It'll disturb things that you haven't healed.
It will disturb and trigger
well, let's bring us into the solar flares and energy coming in for the year.
Okay, cool. Let's go into it. We said solar flares. And yeah, okay. What do you
We're going
get
to
for that?
continue to have the solar flare scenarios that are for our greatest good for us to evolve. And you kind of said that just now. For me, I manage a lot of galactic information. I'm obsessed with it. I talk about it a lot. For me, it's just the more we get into it, it's going to be stronger and stronger. So this year, it's not going to be less than last year. I can tell you that now.
Yep.
So expect that and a bit more. 2026 for me, that's a lot of energy coming in. So I want everybody to make sure to begin to adapt to the energy coming in, because in 24, I think a lot of us felt exhaustion with the energy coming in. It was a lot. And it was a lot of disturbing things that we had deep inside. Like, it almost makes you feel like the gut, like, and that's feelings and that's emotions and that's blockages and that's whatever it is. And so it was exhausting. So for May 2025, I think we need to start adapting. The word is adapting to the higher level of energy coming in, especially because I want everybody to rebalance that's ready for it. I want everyone to rebalance in 25. So when 26 gets here, because it's like even more in 26, like way more, then we don't have to it won't be so difficult in 26, because it's a nice thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a nice thing. It's a good thing. It's serving us. It's helping us evolve, and it's helping our bodies adapt to a newer, higher vibrational reality. And it's great, but that doesn't mean it's not difficult. It doesn't mean it's not going to disturb things, especially because we're coming out of a reality that's been always dark, heavy, and difficult.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's also serving a lot of energies to come in and show us information. I think these solar flares are yes, at a personal, individual level, like you said, it's not going to feel easy. We're going to feel exhausted. Things are going to come up. We have to work through them. We have to make sure in those moments that we're not holding back or repressing too. But also, I think this energy, what the message I'm getting is, it is a lot about it's almost like they coincide with these solar flares or these solar energies that come in, almost like they coincide with portals of energy that come almost to help to come assist almost like with information and moving stuff, clearing things out. It's like a burst of energy that shakes things, and then it's almost like you shake a tree and stuff falls down. It's something like that. It's like that kind of image that they're showing me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to get easier or less. It's in any case, there's going to be more of that energy coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, let's think to 2024 for a second. At one point,
it was insane.
It was insane. This is near the solar eclipse season. Sorry, eclipse season, because there was lunar and solar eclipses. Eclipse season. People in New York and other places saw Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, I know.
This was connected.
Now. It's still happening.
I don't know, but it was intense, and there were photos everywhere, people posting.
Yeah,
recently, but this is all connected to the solar flares. So that in itself is already telling you how strong those energies are, because it's manifesting physically.
It's expanding.
Yeah, it's expanding. It's insane. And I think that also is almost like a physical manifestation of the beauty of it, of how even though something can feel really dense and feel almost like it's draining us, it's actually there to do good, right? We just have to learn to work with it and take care of ourselves through that.
Yeah.
Anything else you're getting?
For the solar flares and stuff?
Yeah. You connect.
It's funny. I do a whole course. I did a whole super cheap course that's on our Thinkific that it talks about, and I think most of the Patreon members have signed up and watched it at some point. It talks about how those solar flares coming and how it adapts our bodies, because our bodies are going into 5D, and not just our soul is going to be moving in this lifetime to that. It's our bodies. The physical body has to go with us. We're doing it in blood and flesh in Avatar. That's a big deal. But you need to change that. And so the solar flares are implemented by the universe for that to happen. And so I've talked about this before, and I've talked about it in the course, and I've explained how that process works, but I talk about how detox. So try to eat clean, try to detox. All that stuff is really important so that it's less difficult for you to sustain it during the year when those solar flares come in and that energy comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Just a reminder. I've said this before, just a reminder.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny because the solar, I would spend the night and my throat would itch and itch and itch and itch, and I would wake up all night. And the funny thing about that is I would go, I wonder if there's a solar flare going on. And I would usually look it up the next day, and that day had been a solar flare.
Mm.
So for some reason, my throat lets me know. I usually know because my throat's letting me know because it starts itching like crazy.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
sure for different people it might feel different. Some people
Yeah,
get
yeah, no,
headaches, some
that's my
people get
obviously
all
that's just for
these.
me and my body.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
because you're in tune with it and you're aware of it. You know that that energy can come through physically, right?
Yep.
Should we maybe go into 3D, 5D energies since we're already kind of
Okay. I mean, we're kind of talking about 3D and 5D. We've been for a while, right?
yeah.
Um, we have to remember that there's still going to be people's free will still continue to select 3D. We still have 3D and we have the beginning of people already living. We already have some people that are already choosing and living and vibrating in 5D on this planet right now. It's not you and me, they're in the system, sort of say, that still kind of have our day-to-day kind of chaotic life, busy life. That's not really 5D energy, right? We're more on the border of that. But those that choose 3D, those are the individuals that like they might not ever go into 5D. So we have to make sure to respect if that's somebody we know, someone we love, someone we associate with. You might have some falling outs with people around you because they no longer vibrate with you because you're on the border of 3D, 5D, and you're heading more towards 5D than you are 4D, and you're figuring it out, right? And so it might mean that you'll have a drop off of some people, but just try to not take that personal. Try to not let that, tamper with your emotions too much because we talked about this in another way. Whatever you're vibrating at is what's going to come to you. And that also means that if you vibrate a little bit different, those around you actually don't vibrate with you anymore.
Mhm.
And so it could be that your group starts changing a little bit. The
Oh
surroundings around you
yes,
change a little bit.
I think people were associating with quote unquote friendships, connections. I think there's going to be a lot of that shifting in 2025 in a really positive way, right?
Yeah.
That vibrate even more with us. What does that always mean though? And so I'm saying with these wonderful energies that we're talking about, there's always something that feels hard around it, which means letting go of what we have here. We can't
Yeah.
drag that with us. And that means a lot of things, right? It might mean letting go of certain people because they just don't vibe with us anymore, or they just don't allow us to move forward.
Yeah.
So that does feel a little hard, I guess. I see some like people struggling with that at moments.
Yeah. And I can resonate with that. I mean, even recently, I've had scenarios in my life where I'll be like, this person's like, I'd be like, oh, this person, I used to love them. I used to love hanging out with them, but it's like I feel like they're not seeing things the way I'm seeing anymore, and they're deciding to stay in victim role and stay in more of a control environment. And I'm like, and before I would have been really upset about losing that like relationship in my life, but now I'm like more like, okay, something else will fill that place. Like I've learned to kind of let go quicker. Quicker. That's the word.
Yes. Yeah. And that is a huge thing for 2025. Well, now and moving into 2025 and forward, we have to learn to let go quick because things need to shift quicker. That comes with manifesting. If we're holding on to this old thing over here, we're not going to manifest quick. We have to learn to let go.
Yeah.
And that will manifest or show itself, or when I say manifest, is what we're experiencing, what's coming forward for us. I think that'll show up for a lot of people in things happening out of nowhere, right? Like getting an opportunity or somebody just disappearing, maybe some ghosting. This isn't just with like dating. It could be with ghosting with friendships, ghosting with, clients and things, but things shifting rapidly. If we're in the right vibration, things will let go. We're going to let go of it. We're going to have to do our process with it. I'm not saying you're not going to feel anything, but that you accept that no longer needs to be in your life and that things need to change and that something can come in quick.
Yeah.
And I do get this interesting energy. Part of the 3D, 5D movement transition journey, it does feel like there will be a lot of people that physically move, probably states, countries, districts, whatever that is. But there's a huge shift in that with the 5D energy like journey.
It's just because if your vibration change, you need to find the place that vibrates with that change. There could be some of that, right?
That, but also opportunities. It's almost like people are going to get opportunities to move. It feels like an open energy, like a portal, like a door's open for a lot of people. Yep.
Yeah.
An open path.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't see too much different from the 3D to 5D that we've been getting over the years?
No, I don't. I think
it's
we're
just-
still in the transition. I think for me,
Yeah.
this goes the same as it's gone before. It's try to make sure that you're concentrating on trying to head to 5. Don't get frustrated because you're still stuck in the middle, or you feel like you're not getting there. It's not supposed to happen overnight. But if you have that ability to let go of something that doesn't suit you, just don't let fear, like a lot of times people will stay somewhere, whether it's a job, a place, a relationship, whatever. People will stay somewhere out of fear of losing that and the stability that was bringing to their life, or the ability that they had to kind of like do things in life. Maybe something else can replace that in a better way. So we have to really be intentional with letting go of situations or things so that a new scenario can come in, which is kind of what we just said, just in different words.
Just different words, yeah.
So that for me is 3D, 5D right now for us in 2025. That's the biggest thing for 3D, 5D for me.
Yep, I agree.
Keeping the body clean so that we can receive all the updates, upgrades, energies, powerful energies, different energies coming in. That's going to suit us in different ways.
Leaning more
every
into our
energy coming in is a different
intuition.
wavelength.
Leaning into our intuition.
Yeah.
So the next thing I put here on the list, spiritual energies, healing, karmic cycles. We kind of went into it a little bit, but I guess we can just reinforce whatever we said here.
Say it again. Karmic cycles?
Spiritual energies, healing, and karmic cycles.
For me, 2025 was a really, really big year for that, for letting go of like family lineage, family belief systems, Hopefully we all work through that, the heavier part of that. Because I feel like if you didn't let go of the heavier part of that, 25 is going to be a really difficult year to let go of that, which for me reminds me of like why I continually repeat it. Like, make sure you're in a good place when we get to 25. Make sure you like where you're on, Doesn't mean you have to be in your perfect scenario. I'm not saying that, because we're still advancing, but it means like, if you haven't been able to let go of family trauma, family lineage, darker stuff, limitations, belief systems, if you haven't let go of them, like get to working on it as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Whatever way you want, whatever tool you want to use, but because that's what's going to set you back this year in 25. That's the only thing.
Agreed.
It's not you. It's not you. It's that's setting you back, which is part of you as well. But it's not you. It's the belief system, the ingrained karmic stuff that's in your cells and your cellular memory. It's in your blood, and it's somehow controlling your reality. So we need to let go of that. It can't be a part of us anymore. Doesn't mean you're not honoring the family that brought you into this life, and you're not honoring, your ancestors. You can still honor them, be like, your trauma is your trauma. It's not mine, and I'm not keeping it. Mm-hmm. Your worries are your worries. They're not my worries. I'm a different individual. I'm a different being. So whatever way you need to think about that, we need to let go of it. And maybe it's trauma from our own youth. Maybe it's ours, right? But know that you've learned from that, you've healed from that, and now you need to let it go for real so that you can bring in something better for you and for whatever lineage comes after you.
Yeah, it starts with us though, right? That we can clear things out for those that are coming after us and those that came before us too. Like I always say that through like family constellations, that is a big part of the work. You go in for yourself, but you're helping everybody along the way.
Yep.
It is a good year to focus on things like that, like family constellations.
The ice cream trucks passing.
Oh, yummy. Family constellations. I mean, readings, obviously, to get more information and understand yourself, understand your karmic, even contracts with other souls. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, like when you were speaking, the only thing I was really like, they were really focusing on, because everything you said, I resonate with 100%. But it almost feels like this year could be an interesting year to clear out karmic things in the soul contract sense with others. Like there might be instances that energies might come in, people might come in, and that might feel really difficult, but that if we catch it quick, we understand it, that we don't have to go through the difficulty of like, I don't know.
2025 is closing a bunch. Now, it's not just the cycle closing of like the contract of the opposing side that I've talked about. It's also the contract closing for us with other souls, right? So, I mean, that's dependent on us. If we want to drag it on for another 10 years, you go ahead, you drag it on for another 10 years. But know that the universe actually is giving you the right to close it out now. So why wouldn't you?
And quickly, like you're saying.
That energy in your favor.
That you can accept that is a karmic cycle you're with somebody, that you're here to learn something from it. Accept that. Let it go and move forward.
Yeah.
It's a year that will push us a bit in our limits in that sense to wake up and to deal with things and to start. And that really is only about ourselves, right? Because anybody that comes in and makes things quote unquote difficult, they're just a mirror to something we have to work internally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like a good example is somebody comes in and tests our boundaries is because we need to work on our boundaries. That we need to say something or we need to deal with something internally. It's not never about the other person. Yes, there could be very toxic relationships that you have to almost like close the door completely and say, I need to run away from this, and not run away in the sense of like ignore it. It's run away because this is not good for me and I can't do this anymore. There's no solution here. This ends here, right?
Yeah.
So there might be some of that energy too. But it's still a year for healing and for us to work through things and for things to clear out really well.
Yeah.
The next thing I put on the list was extraterrestrial energy and connections.
Yeah. This is the year that people finally accept that it exists and that we're not alone. Like before, the years before would have been like, people are going to start understanding, we're going to see things. No, this is the year where the universe is like, all right, accept it already. Like that's how the energy comes to me, at least. It's the year where it's like, I don't care if you're questioning or not. Just know that it's true. Whatever. Like almost like a dismissive. It feels like a dismissive energy. Like we're not patiently waiting for you to like come to terms with it anymore. Just accept it because it's coming into your reality. That's how it feels to me.
Okay, that's not into it, but what are you feeling in the sense of extra dimensional, extraterrestrial energies connecting with us here?
I feel like we're in the beginning of a more open contact. So I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you. When they give me that, I don't see how that looks. But if I had to assume from the way it feels that they're making me feel it, it feels that we begin to receive information via intermediate sources that are like, oh yeah, I've had contact, or I've had that, I've had an encounter and this is what happened. But people that are very, I don't like the word believable. What's the word I'm looking for? Credible. That's what I'm looking for. Credible. Yes. It feels like a much more, whereas before it felt more la when you connected with the people that were the connecting sources, because obviously it was a taboo thing. Now the year 25 begins to feel more like logical people come forward with things, and you're like, well, if they
like scientific.
Yeah, like scientific, I guess. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, if they're bringing this forward, then yeah, definitely it has to be. Like it's more of an energy of there's no longer more question about it. So I don't know if this is the year where we all understand that it's true. I don't know how that's going to play out, but it feels like, yeah, and
like we already knew this.
Like it feels like less of a big deal. Like, yeah, and
I do agree. There's almost like going to be more information to help us understand it.
Yeah.
In 2025. From I guess more of a logical sense, I don't know if in a spiritual or extra dimensional sense, I think some stuff will come out about that, but I think that's still going to be something a little bit like unknown. But what I'm getting, because I'm not connecting it to like extra, like UFOs, yes, there's going to be a lot of that energy, but I'm getting almost like a spiritual side of it that feels really interesting, that there will probably be people channeling more of this energy of almost like this extra dimensional energy, bringing in wisdom and information. This year, moving forward, there's a lot of information. This year, the years moving forward feel like a lot about information.
With like physical, like us physically understanding it's true. Like,
yeah, I agree. No, and yes,
no longer deny it.
100%. Like it's going to be obvious.
Yeah.
But where I'm getting more of the pull to channel is more on, spiritually speaking, this extra, like who comes to mind is like V, right? V's psychic and she has a bunch of things, but she also has like a connection to something higher, right? And there's other people here too that I can think of, right?
Oh, we've been talking to her in years.
I message every now and then. I love her.
Oh
yeah? Yeah. I always think
I
of
used
her.
to, but I barely message anybody these
I love
days.
her. But there's a lot of this almost like people finding a connection to receive information that's really important for Earth, for us as humans. And I think that will also create awareness around certain things. Yes, all the UFOs, all of this information. I think also information coming out, like I'm saying to you, like more information almost like that was hidden comes out too in 2025, which I love because I think this is just the beginning. This is just one little part of it. 2025, lots of things are going to come out information wise. Information is a big thing for me for 2025 for some reason.
There's a lot of like uncovering and uncovering and uncovering.
Yeah, and people speaking.
Feels like blankets
things.
are being taken off or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I see like blankets being lifted. And
Yeah.
you see what's under the blanket, sort of say.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, like I said, is awesome. And we want that because that's part of
we
our
want that.
ascension. But
because we need to understand what
the
reality
reality.
That's the beginning of 25 for us. It's beginning to understand what reality we really live in, not the one that the system told us we
We're
lived
told,
in.
yeah.
Yeah. From now on, we begin to see what universe, what reality, what matrix we really do live in.
And create
begin
something
to really
different.
understand it.
And to be able to create something different.
Yeah, of course, because the idea was to limit us because we're so powerful.
Yeah.
You can't control people that have knowledge.
What I do want to say about the information is a lot of it will feel heavy. I don't feel like some of the information will be like, oh, cool. Yeah, I kind of already knew that, but I'm glad they confirmed it because everybody already knew.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of I guess you call it backstabbing information. There's going to be some of that.
In what sense?
Like realizing that certain moves were made or information was withheld from us that could have been our greater good.
Yes.
That's what I would call backstabbing.
Yes, 100%. But also things that feel heavy, like in the human sense.
Mm-hmm.
That there's been pain.
Yeah.
That to me feels like a big part of the reality for 2025 and moving forward.
Yeah.
Or 2025. I'm obviously connecting to 25, but I'm just saying that because I think it is a year of information. Mm-hmm. With that, maybe we'll move into media and information. I think media is going to be.
They're losing control. Yeah. Within 2 seconds, I can say that's what I get. Like they're beginning.
There's a shift in how we receive information for 2025.
Yes. Which for me means they're beginning to lose the control that they previously had over how we received information, right?
Because it was misinformation.
Or what information we received.
Whatever that information was, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is for a greater good, and we can't resist that. Part of what we're saying is we need to accept and let go of what was to create something new. So I do honestly feel that 2025 will be such an interesting year in the information sense, in that sense, right? The channels that open up. Yes, apps, streamings, people that come up, right? The same way I would say like somebody could create a new platform like Twitter, technologically speaking, that there could be new platforms and ways for people to communicate and receive information, 100%. Mm-hmm. But in a bigger sense, it's almost like that there will be people helping that information come through, like almost like voceros, like what's coming through is like faces for certain things, like people advocating for certain people also that will be almost like really necessary. Like what comes to mind is almost like the new president of Argentina and how he's taken it upon himself to almost advocate for all of the misinformation and whoa, Sandy just went nuts.
There's probably like something passing outside.
Somebody outside, I think. It's almost like this people starting to help each other. Part of the collective, it is like the collective energy. I'm saying like there has to be somebody that moves that energy. So I do feel like people popping up and being like, oh, this person's really for helping these people or helping this cause or helping this issue. I feel like there's a lot of that coming up also for 2025 that I love it. But also new platforms, new ways to communicate, and it'll move quick. And I think a lot of that probably goes into one of the other topics that I put here, technology, AI, and inventions.
You know, I've said this before, and obviously technology and AI can be used in negative ways, but I do think that it'll be able to be created into really good ways as well. I'm waiting for the robot that's going to clean my house that will give me more free time in my life. I'm all for technology improving our lives. Will we have people that want to manipulate through AI and through technology? You're always going to have that. Whether it's AI or technology, or whether it's medicine, or whether if it's religion, you're always going to have people that corrupt a system. So I think that we need to stop fighting against AI and technology, because guess what's setting us aside from those aliens and those external dimensional beings that are way more advanced? They use technology. And they're more evolved than us. I'm pretty sure that they're much more conscious than us. They haven't been corrupted, or their lives haven't gotten shittier because of AI and technology. It's because I hear a lot of people like talking negatively about AI and technology. And so I think that we need to promote the advancement of AI and technology in a way where it's like it's going to come in to suit us and give us more free time and give us better lives and higher qualities and assist us. They can be our assistants, right? So I'm all for it, and I feel like this year should be the year where it begins to take more tangible, what's it called, like a more tangible position in our lives.
Amen.
I'm hoping
Yeah.
that means that my cleaning house robot gets here by the end of the year, but I think I'm pushing the limit a little bit. Maybe it'll be here by the end of 26, but I'm gonna try to manifest the reality where my robot's here in 6 months.
You never know. Things are going to move quick. And I
Can you
think things
imagine?
will move quicker with technology. I think there has to be almost like, yes, I agree with like anything could be used in a negative or low vibrational or almost like malicious sense,
It's not
right?
the tool, it's who's using the tool.
It's who's controlling it.
Controlling tool. Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So this is where we have to be almost like aware and that hopefully the information comes out. So if something is happening, we can say, no, absolutely not. Right. And
Yeah.
somehow bring that down to recreate something.
Do you know what
There's
I
a lot,
see
like
the
the part of it is
future
the rumbling, the crumbling of something to be able to create something better. So maybe we do find some of that energy in 2025.
I almost feel like it can get to. I'm advancing into the future quite a few years here, but I feel like if we accept it into our lives in a positive way and promote it to be part of the sister of humanity, I feel like it could even be there to help. You know, like when there's like an earthquake or there's like
Mm.
a scenario that plays out where like we have to find dead people or people that are stuck under like buildings and rubble and stuff. Like I feel like even robots would be able to assist us with doing, instead of having the dogs that smell, somehow the robot would be able to locate the person and find them. It could save lives. It can improve lives. It can improve
Oh
quality.
my
Like
gosh, 100%.
I feel like this could happen. I mean, I think it could be quick. It could be in 4 or 5 years we could have a scenario like that.
It's already happening in one way, but I think it's going to deepen.
Yeah.
But we have to accept it.
Yeah.
Could somebody do something to it almost like play against us? Yeah. But the idea is that we become conscious and we know that that exists, that reality, that duality exists, and that we have to be aware somebody might do something like that. And
Yes.
we
Yeah.
don't
No.
play
No.
into it and allow it, right?
Yeah. So be conscious of who's behind the project, I guess you would say, but don't dismiss all the projects because some of them might be good.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
integrate the technology. I think there might be, I don't know why I put the word inventions because I feel like there's something's going to be like almost like invented. There's like this invention creation energy in 2025 that feels amazing. That could be in the technology space for sure, but also it's like this creation energy of like our lives. Like you're saying, we can manifest things. There's a lot of that energy that feels very technology based and information based for 2025. And I think we have to adapt to it because I think we're not used to maybe receiving so much of that in like a very
Yeah.
seamless way where, you know, like you said, media is changing. We're realizing how corrupt certain systems and things are, and that there has to be a shift because that can't continue to be controlled by a certain narrative, that things need to be, we need to know the truth, right? That is the only
Yeah.
way that we can move forward in every sense. Okay, the next one I put here is, well, we have four more: Mother Nature, weather, and natural disasters.
Water's going to continue 100%.
Yes, we've been
You know
talking
what?
about that
Like,
for weeks.
yeah, we can talk about it for a long time.
Yeah.
A big part of it is cleansing. For me, there's two reasons why there's water,
Yeah.
which is why I feel like it's taking longer for it to still play out in our reality. It's still happening. Whereas usually we'll feel like a trend, like, oh, fire, and then you'll see like in 6 months or a year, it's done. That cycle's done. The reason why I feel like water's been playing out longer is because for me, it's in our reality for two reasons. Number one, it's part of the cleansing process. Like imagine when you're upset or someone like passed away or someone hurt your feelings and you're crying. There's a healing process with the crying, with the tears, and that's water, right? That's like the water that's coming out of our body. For me, when Mother Earth is also raising her vibration with us, she also needs to do her sort of crying, I guess you want to call it. It's her cleansing. So there's a lot of cleansing. Yeah, it destroys, you know, towns and countries and, you know, that's a really hard process for us. But what's happening is it's a cycle of cleansing. I would not label it some sort of a environmental thing more than a cycle for Earth that has to happen no matter what. Whatever we did, I don't care if we over polluted or under polluted. Like for me, it was going to happen anyways. That's what I understand from it. But then the second reason for me that why it's happening is we're picking up from the process of the Atlantean times, and I've talked about this before. We're picking up the process of Atlantean times, and what do we all know happened in Atlantis? The flooding. And so we're healing
Went
from
underwater.
that. Yeah, it's water, it's more water. We're picking up from there and we're advancing from there and we're healing from there. So the only way to do it is to have that come into our reality again, and we work with it this time. We survive it, we go through it. We pick up from the rubbles and we build ourselves back up again. So for me there's a lot of community with that. You were getting community before and I wasn't. That's when I get community.
Yeah.
When we're supposed to work together to come out of those scenarios. So there's a lot of learning for us because it feels like the energy of the Atlantean times where there was the flooding, it felt like every man for himself. Whereas now it feels more like we survive and we make it because we come together.
100%. Yeah. I continue to see the water as well. That's something we talk about for a couple months now still. And we keep sending each other like videos and stuff of
because I keep seeing and going, oh my God, Lauren has to see it happened here, it happened here, it happened here, it happened here, because it's popping up everywhere.
It's popping up. And even what happened in Spain is
in Spain right now. We
tragic.
had a storm that passed us. Honduras had water up to like the second floor of houses. You know that storm that we had that we were flooding? It sat over Honduras and was just pouring and pouring. And we had it here, but they had it the worst. And they
Just
had massive flooding.
the land there is different than here. It's very flat here, right? And obviously we can flood, but I think there's a lot of, so a lot of places have landslides and things like that's a whole thing, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know why. Also with water, I get almost like issues with the ocean. So I don't know if that means that there's going to be the tides. Yeah, I don't know if waves, but almost like a lot with the moon and the tides. Yeah, like something with tides with water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there'll probably be fires, but it's not like I'm saying, it's not an energy I'm
I'm
really.
not feeling fire is like a massive thing. Doesn't mean it's not gonna happen at all. I don't feel massive. There's a lot of
Weather
pressure
will
valves.
be, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of pressure. I think when we talk about rain and like let's say a hurricane, it's a low pressure system, right?
Yeah. And
That
also
makes
Earth is
sense.
releasing like her own trauma. Like her veins have pressure and she needs to release them, and that's when volcanoes are activated. So for me, part of the process of Mother Nature is popping open her valves to release pressure. So we're gonna have some volcanoes. We always do. I mean, there's nothing, we have the ones in Europe and Iceland, every once popping out. You have some, sometimes in Chile. So that's normal. But I think that it's an essential part of the process for Mother Earth to go. Psh, psh, psh.
I would say
believe it's
more
going to
than
become much more
volcanoes.
active after the water dies down.
Exactly. I don't think that's like a big thing for 2025. What I'm seeing more is like earthquakes. I don't know if it's as bad as the water, but that there will be a lot of talk about earthquakes. That's coming through for me. I don't know.
Okay.
Not getting as much as what I was feeling with the water, but that we'll probably see a trend with earthquakes in some way in 2025. Maybe a little bit more than we normally do, but not anything that's maybe, I don't know. I connect this stuff and sometimes they say, no, it's going to be okay. But in reality, like some crazy stuff happens, right? But I think just keep our eyes open around earthquakes and what comes up with that, because I think there's something to that.
Okay.
I hope there's nothing.
I mean, earthquake and volcanic energy are aligned together, right?
They're aligned, yeah, and that's but they could have
I'm not
bringing
getting
more to that
earthquake
side.
stuff, but I am getting like a reactivate. This is the way I understand is like a reactivation of volcanoes after the water scenario dies down. It's like almost like she cleared out a lot of energy. She grabbed a lot of stuff. She started clearing it out, and now she needs to release pressure. I'm talking about her as an Earth, Mother Earth, right?
Yeah.
That's how I feel it. So yeah, I guess we'll see how that plays out.
What it's interesting, you're talking about like once the water is almost like a drying out, almost like droughts. After all of this process with the rain, it's almost like we might see moments of drought after that. That feels more like years.
Yeah, I
Couple
wouldn't even
years
say
now.
this year. I would
No,
not say 25.
I'm getting that. I don't know. I just need to say it if it's
Yeah,
coming
okay.
through, right? Not 2025 though. I just want to say that. Okay, let's go into world events in general. I haven't really been connecting a lot. What I have been getting is more about Europe and certain things there, but I want to hear what you have to say.
World events. You mean like
Or just like world energy, like remember how like in past episodes we connected to regions and we kept feeling I'm not getting that like last year or the years before.
Yeah. I feel like so part of like the energy of 25 is the beginning of self-governing and stuff like that, right? And some of that means that countries aren't controlled by other countries anymore. So when I have to speak about world events, what I understand is that I don't know how to like say it. It's like countries that before thought they had power over other countries will begin to realize that they're not going to be heard by that country, for example. We don't care about your opinion. This is our country. So countries need to govern themselves now. The worst way to say that would be like every man for himself country wise, but it's not that. It's that every country now needs to become responsible for their own, because every country has a contract. Just like every soul has a contract, in the Akashic Records, every country has its own contract. And whatever soul signs up to be born or live there is agreeing with that contract. Right? And so what I'm feeling and understanding that has to happen in 25, and I think it's a whole process because I don't think it's going to happen right away. What I believe it should begin to play out in 25 is if this country wants to do this, we can intervene because there's going to be massive karmic consequence for the country that intervenes in a process. I know sometimes countries step in to help out and to make peace, and I love that, and I'm all for peace, but that country needs to learn. Sometimes there's manipulation there where it's like we're going to create a scenario so that this country gives us money and steps in, for example, right? So that needs to end. And so when countries realize that they're no longer going to get funding or assistance or support or even attention from other places, that's when actually the region can begin to go into like a neutral, more calm, not mindset, but like scenario environment, I guess you'd say. So I feel like in 25 countries need to start learning countries because it's a whole country need to start learning to govern themselves because that goes with the whole theme of about ourselves as well. So each country needs to govern themselves. Each person needs to begin to govern themselves. So there needs to be a no longer stepping in to control or to say you have to do this. If not, I'm going to go do this to you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, almost like an autonomous energy.
Yeah.
Not necessarily connecting with that. I do feel like there's gonna be conflict. I'll say that. I definitely feel conflict. Like that's the ideal, but will that happen? I don't know.
What'd you say?
Like the ideal is what you're saying, that everybody can kind of take care of
Oh, no,
themselves,
but
but
I'm
also
not saying
help
that's
each other.
going to mean there's peace.
Okay.
That means that that's this country is going to decide to stay in war. They're going to stay in war, but no one else can step in to bother them about it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
At some point, they're going to realize no one's giving us attention, money, support. Maybe we should just stop ruining ourselves. All we're doing is ruining ourselves, right? That needs to be a conclusion that country needs to come to. They need to learn their own karmic cycle. The problem is that when you have other countries stepping in to intervene in that karmic cycle, now the population and the individuals of the other country now get entangled in that karmic process. And it's a whole chaotic universal mess, energy wise, that, by the way, affects the galaxies up there. And so they're now what the hierarchy, dimensional hierarchy, seems to make me understand from up there is it's like the instructions that are being given to the incarnates down here is if you guys want to stay in this scenario of chaos, you go ahead, but no one else will intervene in this process. That's what we need to begin to be. It's not an easy energy because it means that we can't help other people.
There's a lot of interests. There's a lot, like you said, it's entangled in interests, it's entangled in ego, it's entangled in if I do this for you, you do this for me, or I'm supposed to do this for you. We are supposed to move away from that. Will that happen? Like you said, a lot of people won't. a lot. It'll continue to be the way it is for a lot of reasons.
Well, we said that
Um,
3D worlds is still gonna continue. People are still gonna continue to choose war. Like we can't stop that because there's free will in the entire universe. And I've talked about the contract of 2025 ending, which means that the opposing side, the darker side, begin to lose their power. But we still have individuals down here that are part of that agenda who are using their free will and continue to use that because that's how they make their money, or that's how they keep control and stay in power, and that's how they like to live, and they're going to continue to do that as long as we entertain that.
of course.
Right? And so how do you cut that system? So the instructions from up there is, how do you cut that system? You get other places to not intervene anymore. And now they have to deal with them themselves, and they're not going to get the power. They're not going to get the I don't know how to explain it. Like, you know what? Okay, you know the best way I can describe it is, you know how everybody knows how things are messed up in I don't want to get like
In
cut
certain,
off.
yeah, we're,
Yeah, like you know in North K?
yeah,
Okay. We have South K, North K, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about?
yeah.
In Asia, right? Okay. You know how everyone knows that things go down in North K, but
Mhm.
no country intervenes? Okay, it should be looking like that. It's awful to say because we know that there's people inside of that place suffering, but we can't do anything about it. But that's how it actually karmically should be. That country needs to figure it out themselves. The people are the ones that need to stand up against the system. It can't be another country coming in.
I agree. But also, they also talk about intervening with other people in a negative way.
NK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody's supposed to do that. That's just that's
Yeah.
the
So that's what I'm saying. I think
But I'm saying like we know
we're
that other
moving
countries
into
don't
that,
mess with
hopefully.
NK,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 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 I'm not, like in past years, I've connected to certain regions that they almost bring me like alarm bells. The South doesn't alarm me. I'm not saying there's not going to be issues, but where I'm getting the most alarm is more the northern hemisphere. I think there's going to be issues in the northern hemisphere when we talk about world events and things that will affect all of us, because remember, we're all connected. We're all one. Especially Europe. I think Europe to me feels like there's something. I'm not saying it's tragic or that you can't travel there, but that things need to change for a lot of
I think
countries.
there's a lot of attempted control. It's a very complex situation because it's a lot of countries that intervene in this process, right? There's like a governing group that's trying to control all those countries all at the same time. And I feel like at some point, if the people don't stand up, then they'll turn into a very controlled area and they'll have to figure a way to walk themselves out of that. Um, I don't think they'll be able to accomplish it in the way that they want to, at least not this year, 25.
No, definitely not.
I feel like they'll begin to lose their power very slowly, but they're gonna push, man. I feel like they're like, it's like
Compressed.
it's like they're putting pressure down, right?
Yeah.
They're putting pressure down because they really want to control the people. And I think I don't know I haven't looked into if there's any plans, if they're what they're trying to do, but when I connect with it right now, what I understand is if people have limited income, they're easier to control. And there's something there with that. Finance wise, right?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel like finance wise, for sure, there's an energy coming in, but also almost like when we talk about the karmic cycles, I think a lot comes up with Europe. Like almost like we're speeding things up and karmic cycles are ending. So that means that a lot of the history and energy of some of Europe, like things are going to pop up, things are going to happen. They're going to have to deal with things. That could show up financially. That could show up in conflict. That could show up in just chaotic energy or natural disasters and things like that. Because I think there will be a lot of things with Mother Nature this year. Yes, the water, but other things as well. Unpredictable things out of nowhere where we're like, whoa, nobody saw that coming. Like, this energy coming in. I see, I get this conflicting energy, like almost like the people want one thing, but other people don't want that thing.
You know what my problem is with the area of the world? um, the word that comes up is a lot of oblivion. There's a lot of a grand majority of the population continues to live obliviously to what's actually going on. And so I need there to be more awareness for the collective to raise it because I feel like the energy is really low. So I feel like there needs to be much more awareness to what's actually happening in our environment and the system that has supposedly supports us. I feel like there needs to be a much more coming into consciousness about it so that you guys, I'm saying you guys as the group, the European group, so that they can regain control over their terrain, their territory, and their rights. Like there's a lot of like disrespecting people's rights. I don't know what that really means, but that's what I get, disrespecting people's rights. And to be honest with you,
I'll get it in the sense of like people getting their power back.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to happen this year though.
25. No. I'm seeing the conflict in that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That there's like a power struggle in that, and that things will come up in that. There's opposing sides. There's these weird energies. I don't know. I think it could manifest in many ways. I'm not getting the exact literal like prediction of that, but we're gonna see stuff come up.
Like I left the Netherlands and I left knowing I'm not part of this contract and I didn't sign up for this and I left knowing that. Like I felt that major push. I was like, I don't know what's about to go down. I don't know how it's going to affect everyone here. It was like my soul didn't sign up for the contract of to clear out this stuff that's going on here that's going to continue to go on, and I like felt like I had to leave, and I feel like I wasn't very off with that, and we'll see how that continues. But it's the people that need to raise their frequency and come into consciousness. So that's what needs to happen. It's consciousness. They need to become conscious of how their world has been functioning and how it's going the other way for them.
I agree. Yeah.
Financial.
When I say northern yeah, I definitely, we're going to go into finance in a second, but I think it's northern hemisphere. I do feel things, Canada, US, to stuff coming up there. I'm not saying in the same way, but that there's also a lot of this energy we're talking about of people starting to accept changes, resistant. There's just at moments it could feel chaotic. That's what I'm getting. Yeah. So let's just go right into it then. Finance, economy, and money. That's just the way I kind of labeled it. But
I guess I don't think everyone's going to live the same scenario. Like I said, like we were just talking about Europe. I feel like Europe is going to have some struggles there financially as a generalized area. I do believe that there's going to be a better scenario for people in North America than we have seen previously. I don't know what that means, like how that happens, but I feel like things begin to get a little bit better in this region. So that's like the States. I see Mexico independent from that because I feel like they have some karmic cycle going on that we don't really, it's like the States is not connected to that.
No.
I feel like they have a lot of stuff. I think Mexico's gonna have a bit of a difficult financial year for I don't know why, but I'm getting that, and it has to do with karma cycles. It has to do with all these things they have going on there energetically. Then I feel like North America, well, Canada doesn't feel like it's going to get worse, but I feel like they're a little bit of a standstill financially.
Yeah, like a standby energy. Yeah, definitely.
The States feel like they begin to come out of a bubble in advance. So when I say these energies, I'm talking about the people, right? Like how people are going to live it. I feel like for the States, it's going to get better. They're going to go from like a worse place to a better place. And then South America, I believe, oh my God.
It's a mixed bag for me.
You have to break it up into pieces.
It's a mixed bag for me.
I know, exactly. I feel like it's like a fringe like this at the top of South America where it's like, I feel like they're stuck. They're really stuck. And then the bottom half, which would be part of our country, right? The bottom half, I feel like there's a lot of karma there that needs to be cleared out this year because I feel like the people are also not advancing financially. So I don't see an advancement for that area either. But the other area I feel is stuck. Like they're not getting, I don't even feel like they're getting out anytime soon. The bottom half, I do feel like they have the right to get out, but they're somewhat like energetically stuck with things. Australia is a whole other ball.
I don't
ball
get
game.
anything for Australia. I've connected a lot with Australia in the past, but I'm
I
feeling
think it.
neutrality when I connect to Australia.
I feel like
I agree with everything you're saying with this, but what I get with South America, just to give my opinion through the records, when I connect to the southern part of the country, which you can consider Argentina, maybe part of Brazil, Uruguay, part of I guess part of Peru, maybe I don't know, Chile. Um, it's not even like a stuck. It's stuck is in the north, but it's almost like a plateaued energy. Although Argentina feels a little differently to me, as Chile does. But I feel like almost like a plateau energy for certain things. Obviously, when we say this, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to experience that in that country, right?
yeah.
It's a general energetic reading of the country and the energy of the country. Like if somebody were to ask me, should I move to this country? I'm going to connect to it energetically through you, your records, and what's most aligned for you. For some people, living in that place will be super aligned. For other people, it might be a struggle. And I'm collectively speaking, there's an energy to each place, each country, right? It's almost like a plateaued energy. Like things almost feel like they might not advance forward. Like they might just stay the same,
Yeah.
like not grow.
Yeah. Um, I do think still though it's a year to, in general speaking, the whole world, it's a year to pick up from the dust that we've had before. It's like dust ourselves off, right? So it's
Mhm.
a year for us to begin to dust ourselves off and get into a better place. I think there's something there with Australia really interesting. I was saying it's a whole nother ball game. Australia, when I connect with that area, I feel like it's an interesting energy. Like before, when I connected with it, we had a lot of issues with it during 2020, right? And all those years,
Mhm.
there was a lot of pressure. But I feel like hope for them. I
I
don't know
feel
what
it
it is.
positive. I just not connecting to anything
Yeah.
financial in a negative sense. It just feels good.
Yeah.
Just normal.
Yeah, no, I feel hope for them. Like I feel like they could possibly have a really good year.
I
We'll have
agree.
to see. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, generally speaking, yeah.
Asia feels good too. I don't know why. Like not like the same
You
way
know
you're
what I
talking about
feel?
Australia, but it feels productive. That's the best word I can use.
I feel like there could be a change, a little bit of it could be like a game changer, 25 for Asia, like people from different cultures moving there.
Oh yeah,
And it's like bringing their wealth, sort of say, like bringing their abilities, bringing their projects, their companies, bringing their like maybe they're just going to live there and they open up their business there. I don't know, but it's like there's some sort of a change in energy in Asia, which makes it a different kind of place or market. That's how it feels to me.
I agree. It feels good. There's something about
Yeah.
that
It's like
region that
they
feels
begin to
good.
integrate with the rest of the world more.
Yeah, more
But I say
connected.
the rest of the world because like people from this side of our hemisphere, we rarely go there unless we're going on vacation because it's so far away to get there, right? Whereas you know that the area where it's like Europeans will go there a lot on vacation because it's a shorter flight, or people from like, Australia or New Zealand. But I feel like they begin to integrate, they're going to be able to integrate more with the rest of the world
Yeah,
for whatever reason it is,
I agree.
which I think financially will be an asset for them.
Also, going back to what I was talking about, information, technology, advancements, inventions, I think there's something in the financial or economic sector that feels there's shifts, there's some changes, they feel good, they don't necessarily feel bad, but also we have to be careful. Like that's the message. Like be careful with what people are pushing.
Hmm.
And I mean in like technology and like finances and how we manage that. Almost like there's a new way that we can invest or do things
Okay.
to how we've been doing it up to this point. I don't know. I'm getting something. It's 333. I just looked at the time. I haven't looked at the time the whole time.
Hmm.
Um, will there be, like, my question here would be like, will there be financial issues? Will we experience, the question a lot of people ask is there going to be a crash?
No, I'm not getting it right now.
I don't get that.
I'm
But
not
will
getting
there be shifts and changes and ups and
Well,
downs? Yeah,
yeah, I do feel like there's going to be different ways to do things, or we're going to change the way we do things. Yes, but do I feel a massive crash? No, I think I felt that energy more in 24.
yeah,
I felt that energy much more in 24, where like if there was going to be a crash, it was going to be in 24. I'm not feeling it right now for 25.
I'm not
Hopefully I'm
either. I
right.
thought I would, but I'm not.
Yeah. I'm not feeling it right now.
I think it is a year we can manifest
Yeah.
financial stability if we really
Yeah. I think
manifest,
it's
like take
related
the
to the year to
action, move
stabilize.
forward. But we have
Yeah.
to think outside the box.
Yep.
We really do, because I think that's part of the energy I'm getting.
Yep.
That's pretty much it, except I just added in at the end aviation and travel, because that's something I brought up last year.
You know that I don't connect with that stuff anymore after I made my
No, and you know what's interesting? I'm not getting that energy anymore. I'm not saying that there's not going to be issues with aviation and travel in 2025. I want to break that up. Aviation, as in like airplanes, and then travel, I'm going to put that as a different category because they're separating it for me. Aviation issues that we've had this year were intense. Will there still be issues? Yes. Will they be worse? No. I think it's almost like just stays the same. I do feel a lot of the solar flares and a lot of this energy with, I don't know if it's all the stuff coming up with weather and all these things. There's going to be some interference with aviation, like there are going to be aviation issues, like in the sense of, a lot of people are talking about, or I've seen come up, and they keep telling me that that's going to keep happening, is like where an airplane drops in altitude really quickly. I don't think that's a coincidence that all these airplanes are doing that. And I don't think it's an issue with certain airlines or aircrafts. I think that is energetic, that things are shifting. And I think almost like they're almost connecting it to the solar energy and some of the stuff that's manipulation of the weather. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to keep coming up. I don't think that changes. I'm not saying it getting way worse. I'm saying it's going to be a trend for sure. I do see something coming up with like technology in the aviation space, like new airplanes or new things.
I can understand. Yeah, like aside from accidents, because I'm never gonna get it again, which I don't want
No,
to.
I'm not connecting with necessarily. There will they be? There's always accidents. Yes, there's always mishaps. There's always things, but
Yeah.
I'm not connecting it.
There's
When I
gonna be
connected,
some technology advancements, I believe. Yeah.
yeah.
We'll have to see how that plays out, because I know that behind the scenes they want everybody to travel less, with the story behind that like it's bad for us.
But you know what's interesting? I feel like that's why I separated them. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be an interesting year for
No, they're gonna
travel.
remind you that you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
I think
for
the
many-
problem's a
many
different one.
reasons. I don't agree with that for many reasons, because they're saying that while they go on their
Yeah.
jet alone, no one else is on it. I don't believe we're part of the problem. That's not saying that we can't do it better, but I believe that as long as they control the way we're able to travel, which they do, as long as they control the way we can travel, we can't do it in a better way. So that they're not giving us a solution. They're making us the problem, because when I give you a problem, I'll give you the solution.
Yeah.
And this is a solution. I'll only let you do one a year, huh?
I think 2025 is going to be a year where people will travel probably more.
You're not listening to what I'm saying.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand it's manipulation of.
Oh, I don't get the traveling more thing. Oh, I don't get
I don't
that.
know more, but that travel is going to be open. It's an energy, and it's open energetically. Like I'm not seeing anything holding.
Well,
us
they're already
back from
doing that in
traveling.
Europe. They're already saying that you won't be able to do it. I think
Where I think travel will be interesting is, I think there is something to, you were talking about different regions, different countries, like things changing on how you get into countries, laws, restrictions. There could be something
No,
in
they're gonna
that.
tell you that you're ruining the environment and you can only do one a year. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
they're
I understand that. I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to happen. People are not going to do. I don't think there's going to be that restriction in 22. But I don't get that.
Oh, I feel like they're trying. I feel like they're trying.
Yeah,
Is it
they're
gonna
going to be
happen?
trying.
I don't think it's gonna happen, but I see the energy of them trying to do it. I do believe that it's gonna be able to. I do believe that it might possibly play out in certain regions, but it's not gonna. They can't control it from every country and every place, because they're all independent, right? But I do
Yeah.
believe that there's some areas in the world that they might be able to implement it in whatever way they can.
Yeah, I don't see that playing out 2025.
But remember,
Is
this
that
is
in
the
the
era
back?
of self-governing.
Yeah.
So that means that if that's coming into play into a reality, it means that it's teaching us to be like, no, you're not going to tell me what to do. right? We're
Yeah.
supposed to learn to govern ourselves. And so the system's going to constantly be like, no, I govern you. And you'll be like, no, I govern myself. But like I said, there's people that still choose 3D. So those people will allow themselves to be governed probably. And so we'll see.
Yeah.
It all depends on how much they push it and how much people accept. Always, as long as if people accept it, they'll do it.
Is that something we learned in
So,
2020 and 2022?
Are we gonna, play with it, sort of say?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it'll be an interesting year for travel and how that's done, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, it could be just new things in airplanes or new ways of airlines doing things, new
Just think about how stupid we've been doing it the same way for so long. Shitty little seats with no space. Every year it gets worse instead of better.
more expensive.
Like, and we're just accepting it like idiots, like chickens in a little fucking like cage. Like, yeah, let me get my seat for $500. Let me sit right here because this is the cheapest seat I can get or whatever. Like, how do we accept this? Sometimes I think about it. Like, how do we accept this? Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully there are some changes in the travel. Like,
Yeah, I hope so.
Also, I'm not getting them for this year, but I think there are some things coming up for the next years for the aviation industry having to do some real big changes like that, in that sense, like you're saying, like that people are going to be like, what the heck is this? Like, I'm not standing for this. But I don't know if that's going to happen in 2025.
Okay.
Good, but free will and all that. But
Yeah.
well, that's it.
All right.
That's all I have on my list. I don't know how long we've been talking. Do you know?
2 hours, I think.
2 hours. I thought it was like
Yeah,
an
we
hour and a
started-
half. Oh my gosh.
I think it's like
Amazing.
2 hours. Aurora's getting a little. I feel bad
Well,
'cause
we'll close off here. So we are going to post this episode on the podcast, but we're going to give you guys the obviously the community to obviously we're going to post this later, but the community gets access to this first.
We'll release this probably in December on the podcast.
Yeah, I think like mid December, end of December. So yeah, you get the first if anybody wants the first dibs, and obviously we haven't really been posting on the podcast, so we are doing monthly episodes on individual and ones together. So if you are looking for us, we're there. That's where we're at. That's where we're hanging out.
So that we end up doing 3 episodes a month on the Patreon because you do your solo every month. I do my solo every month, and then we do a solo together. We do an episode together.
An episode together, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is it for this month. Okay. Amazing. Well, feel free to comment on this episode. Let us know your thoughts. And if you're getting anything, like we'd like to hear what you're feeling also, because I know we have a lot of people in this community that are also connecting to information and they get stuff too. So I'd be interested to see what people are getting on their end too.
Yeah.
So yeah, sending you guys a big hug. Thank you for tuning in. And for listening to us this long.
Well, listen that long.
To listen, yeah. To listen to us. We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.